Anyways, I'd like to welcome everybody here tonight. Both Matt and myself are the area leaders for let's see here now, MD5M and for MD5. And we'd like to welcome everybody here. And what we're going to discuss tonight is the last step in the global membership approach, which is build success. And we're going to be taking a look at the plans that we had done in steps 1, 2, and 3. So next slide, please. The agenda is going to be broken down into 4 parts. I'm going to be doing the first one, which is the process review. And then we're going to go into the working group operations, communications, and the result tracking. And this is all stages that you would go through if you were working with your district and taking a look at the global membership approach, and what we would be making sure that whoever is using the GMA is going through and checking to make sure that the plans that you've done and the results that you may achieve so far are happening. So the purpose of the workshop today is to define how your working groups will monitor and communicate progress and track results for all the work that's been done so far. So next slide. Just as a review, we took a look already in the earlier steps about the global membership approach and the objectives. And the objectives are to rejuvenate the districts with new clubs, because we want to have more people to do their service projects and to help out, revitalize the clubs with new members, and then remotivate members with fellowship and exciting service. And we hope that we can achieve all of these goals. I took a look today at some of the stats for MD5 and for, I think, Canada for CA2. And the numbers overall are on the positive, and we're doing a lot better. There's one MD that I looked at for Canada, where last year they had lost 1,400 members, and this year they're ahead by 400 members. So it is working. Next slide. When we're doing the process, we're going through 4 steps. We're looking at who's going to be on the team. So that's building the team that is going to be involved. The next step is to build a vision. So you're going to be taking a look at what it is that you want to achieve. And then you want to go and build a plan and go through all the steps of building a plan as to how you're going to go about achieving what it is you want to achieve. And then the last one, you want to check your results. So that is building success, which is what we're going to be doing. So the areas that are broken down for a focus is new clubs, leader support, new members, and member satisfaction. So for each of those areas that you're going to be looking at, let's say you're a club or you're a district and you want to focus on new members. So you would have a team that would be working on that particular area of new members, and then you would have someone who would be the most likely the lead for it, and then everybody who would be helping in that particular area. If you have lots of people to help with the working group, then you would have people in all these areas. If you don't have as much support and as many people, then you may want to focus on one area first, get that going, then go to the next focus area, start on that one, and then continue on. Let's see here. Okay, membership goals. So all of us have goals that we want to achieve. And in this particular example, what we were looking at, if you were stating what your goals would be, you would be taking a look. At this point, you'd be looking at the fiscal year 2023, 2024, and you would be looking at how many new clubs, how many new members, and how many losses that you would have for members. For new clubs, you need to be realistic when you set your goals. So if you're at a district level, let's say you want to achieve by getting 6 new clubs, you have to look for your district and see, is 6 new clubs achievable, or would 2 be a better number? For the new district, if you are starting up new clubs, we have a new club up here in northern Saskatchewan, And that new club, I just looked at it this morning on my LCI, and it has 44 new members that they've managed to get for this new club. So for the areas where you're going to have new clubs, you want to make sure that the numbers that you're going to have for those new clubs, or for rejuvenating your existing clubs, that the numbers make sense. So if you think you can get 100 new members and you've taken a look at the statistics for the last couple of years, and you're looking forward to the future, you want to make sure that that number for new members is achievable. And then the last one, you don't want to lose any more than X number of members. So let's say it's 50. Some of the clubs that are out there have older members. And so you want to kind of take a look at what your losses have been for the last couple of years and try and keep those losses down to a minimum. So the next slide. So when you're going through and doing your plans, you're going to be taking a look at what your action plan is going to be. And your various action plan will be to start up new clubs, to have new members, to have member satisfactions and leader support. And for each of these, when you've gone through and you've taken a look at what your steps are going to be, you're going to look at, you know, whether you want to do a new an extension team, whether you want to select locations and take a look at it. And then for each of these action steps, you want to look at the steps that are going to be needed to achieve that particular step in your action plan. The same with new members. You have to take a look at what you're going to be doing for to gain new members. You can't just all of a sudden go out there and start asking. Maybe you'll be successful doing that, but you would be more successful if you had some sort of plan as to what areas you're going to target, what groups you're going to target, and where you're going to be asking, and making sure that you have on social media as much information as possible as to when you're going to be going out and talking to various people. And then you have the same with leader support, which is the education, anything that maybe you may need. There is some great new brochures out right now on Just Ask. They've redone all the brochures to do with the Just Ask recruitment. And there's some excellent materials there. And those Just Ask has gone and incorporated the global membership approach in there. So it actually states step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4 as to how you're going to go about doing this, you know, education and leadership support. And then member satisfaction. You want to make sure that the members that in your clubs are happy members, because you want to keep them and keep on going. Next one. And this quote right here, plans are only good intentions unless they're immediately degenerate into hard work. So it's all great to have plans, but if you don't take steps to make these plans a reality and go out there and make them work, then it could be just a dream at that point in time. Matt, I believe you're up.
All right. Thank you, Langale, for the recap of GMA so far and how we got to where we are. Now in this section of the workshop, when you're meeting with your working group in your districts, you're going to want to start determining what that working group operations is going to look like and the best way to monitor progress on a regular basis. The monthly global membership approach check-in meetings with the entire group are highly recommended. And this meeting would be an opportunity for you to share successes, troubleshoot problems, and leverage each other's expertise and support as you're working through the process. Our goal is to be accountable and flexible at these check-in meetings. And then by monitoring our progress regularly, we can stay energized by our process and also adapt to challenges right away, rather than spending months and months working on something only to find out towards the end that it's not going to work and it's not going to be successful. So on the next few slides, we're going to review and answer some questions that maybe you might have as far as the logistics to facilitating these types of meetings. So to ensure that we're maintaining accountability and transparency among our global membership working group, it's important for us to discuss the current membership situation and the types of progress that that have been made on a continual basis. By having these scheduled meetings throughout the year, it's going to help us stay on track. So before we dive deeper into the information covered in a checklist or in the meeting itself and in the agenda, we want to clarify a few meeting logistics before you get started. So you're going to want to work with your team and figure out who's going to be leading these team meetings. How are you going to conduct the meetings? Are these going to be in-person meetings? Are you going to have Zoom as an option? Is there going to be some type of hybrid meeting where maybe some are in both situations? What day and time is going to work best for you? If possible, is there a way that you can pick the same day and the same time every month so that everybody just becomes accustomed to that this working group meeting is going to be scheduled there? And maybe monthly doesn't work for everyone. Is there some other cycle that you need to set up? You also want to keep in mind who is going to be the one sending out the invites or the reminders to the meeting. It should probably be the same person every time so that when people receive those, they understand kind of where it's happening. And it might be a good idea to think of somebody outside of the district governor to do this, because they're going to be busy with all kinds of other things going on. Maybe this is something that somebody else can take on. And then there might be some unique situations to your area that you might want to have discussions on and consider prior to scheduling these meetings and holding these meetings, just so that you're prepared for any of these logistical things that may occur. All right. Now that we've established some kind of ideas for our meeting logistics, here's an example of a 1 hour monthly global membership approach working group meeting might look like. First, you should probably begin by reviewing the goals against the actual goals or against the actual. So how many new clubs did you have? How many new members? How many drops? So in the picture shown here, I made up the goals, but how many of you are aware of where in insights on the Lions portal that you can find the district goals, and you can see how you're tracking against those goals. A little later on in the program here this evening, we'll walk through how you can actually get to those membership numbers on the website so that you can use them in your conversations. It's important for us to track these so that we know where we are towards accomplishing our goals. First thing that we're going to do after we review those is we're going to talk through the status of the actions. So have you done club visits? Have you done service projects? Is all the training complete? Anything that's on your action plan that required action, you're going to want to kind of discuss and walk through what you did since the last meeting. This is the perfect opportunity for you to be able to share your success and to also share some lessons learned. You don't want to just send out a report for these. You want to have that conversation and that discussion. After that, you're going to want to determine, based on what you heard, is there anything that you need to change or alter in the action plan? Are there steps that maybe you missed? Are there new steps that need to be begun? You want to plan for any upcoming communications that you might have. And also, you're going to want to make sure that you celebrate your success. So remember, this is not just about the plan, but it's about strengthening and continually evaluating that plan to become successful at the end. If something needs to change, these are your opportunities to change those. Remember that no issue or concern is too big or small for this group, and you need to work and strive to create an environment where all the members of the group are able to feel comfortable expressing their opinions, so that nobody's going to feel attacked if they share something or feel that they can't share. This needs to be an open space so that you can share what's going on with your program. So regular check-ins are a good time to make adjustments to your plans and with the changing conditions. In the following section, we'll review an assessment and alteration section of the action plan template. Knowing when to change your plans and how to document these changes is an important part of staying on track with your district goals. You will use one of the sample goals and action plans that we used in earlier sessions to kind of walk through this technique. Now, when you're reviewing this with your districts, you'll want to use one of their actual action plans. This discussion also emphasizes that everybody should be comfortable with adapting and changing the plan. Be aware that changing or adapting the plan is not a sign of failure or weakness. It is a sign of your ongoing commitment to the success of the project and your flexibility in achieving that. So let's review on the next slide and have some time for some questions, maybe to facilitate what you could do to facilitate this in your working group back with your district. So as you might recall, previously we walked through in our build a plan session last time, we walked through some examples of action plans. And in this particular action plan, we established a SMART goal that by the end of December 2023, or 2020X, it says here, that we're going to charter one new specialty club. And then we listed out some action steps and who was responsible for them and the dates and times that we were going to do them to complete the action plan. So what I'd like us to think about now is reasons why we might need to change this plan, or reasons why the plan might not work the way that we have it laid out. Does anybody want to just throw out an example of what might happen to facilitate us changing the plan?
Yes, somebody could end up in the hospital, so nothing gets done.
Right. So if we see a responsible party on 3 of these things as our club extension team coordinator, right? Or a club extension team. What if something happens to members of that team, or let's say this was 2 years ago and they're all quarantined for COVID, right? We're going to need to adjust this plan to either assign a different responsible party or maybe change the dates that they're due. Another example might be, hey, maybe your GMT coordinator who you have set to go right away at the very beginning there wins a trip to someplace and they're off on a all expenses paid vacation at the beginning of July, the end of June. They're the first thing up, right? So that's going to gatekeep the entire process if we don't find a way of either changing the date or a new responsible party. Any other thoughts on what might happen? What other things could happen that would cause us to change the action plan? Any other ideas besides Crystal?
Sure, I was Glenn. Maybe they got the new club and maybe they want to stretch their goal and get another one.
Sure. You could change the goal. What about some of the, even some of the specifics in this action plan, right? What if after your club extension team goes out and does all of this community engagement, they come back and say, hey, I don't think a specialty club is going to work anymore in this area, right? Is it okay to change this then to, let's say we're doing a traditional club, or maybe they need a Leo Lion club. Any number of these things can happen, but it's important that in these follow-up meetings with your team, that you're going over these things and adapting as you need to. You don't need to just say, hey, this is the way it was, we're sticking with it. You can adjust and be flexible in your action plan to continue to achieve success. All right. After you've kind of gone through that part of the process, or actually maybe before you go through that process, there's 3 kind of main actions that we can really do in adjusting our plan. We can add things to the plan, we can remove things from the plan, or we can make a choice to pause things in the plan because new information arises, because we receive unsatisfactory results in something, or maybe because actions have been completed. So what could cause us to maybe cancel part of our action plan? Any ideas?
Maybe the area you're, go ahead.
Yeah, the people don't want to pay to become part of the club. Because I've had this happen. They don't see how they are volunteering and getting paid nothing, but at the same time they have to pay to join. So how do I respond with that argument?
Well, that's a good point, Crystal. So that would be something that you would probably want to be prepared for going into the conversations, right? Have a little elevator speech or something relative to why we choose to pay to be volunteers. But most likely that kind of a situation isn't going to be something that you're going to have in the action plan, right? The action plan, if you think of it, are steps.
Thought about it, but I didn't.
So perhaps we will change those steps because we don't have to do those steps, or maybe we understand, or as we're getting in there, we find that not all those steps are required.
I was going to say that maybe you decide to go into an area to start a new club and find out that the people that you're talking to aren't necessarily the most positive people for wanting to do this.
Right. So what's another thing to keep in mind is that as we're making these changes, it's important to remember that it's important is not that the plan changed, because they do. What's important is that we agree as that working group on those changes, and then we then take those changes and communicate them to everybody else who needs to know. So that as we pivot and as we move forward with the process in a different direction or in a different sequence of events, that everybody understands what's going on. So at this time, then we will turn it back over to Gail for the section on communications.
It is so important to make sure that you communicate what your results are and to make sure that everybody is actively engaged and everybody is moving forward on what it is that we want to achieve, and that we recognize the good work that has been done. There is nothing more discouraging than being on a team and not receiving communications on what's going on and changes to the plan or to whatever is happening. Let's say you had a plan to go and meet at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and you get there and you found out, oh no, you have the wrong time zone. It was actually at noon. So it's always very important to make sure that we communicate. The different people out there that you're communicating with and that you're talking to, there may be different ways. So if you're dealing with older members, they may not want to communicate by email. Maybe they want a one-on-one meeting where you're communicating in person or by phone. And others may want to have other communications by social media. So there are a number of different ways to communicate. We have to make sure that we document it carefully and make sure to share it and follow it throughout. We want to make sure that creating a plan determines who needs to know what, when, who's responsible for each communication. Next slide. So who needs to be informed? If you take a look at the diagram that's here, you can see that we have a number of different people who want to know what the communication is. We have, like, what I think is the top, which is the individual members in the club. We have our zones, which is the next step down, our districts, our MDs, our global action team, our past district governors, our past international directors, our past international presidents, and our international directors. All of those individuals would like to be informed. So if you're taking a look at this and thinking about it, who do you think needs to know about what the district goals are? Anybody got some good guesses as to who you think wants to know about the district goals?
I'm going to say that I think we need to talk to clubs and we need to talk to districts and we need to talk to zone chairs for sure.
Yeah.
If those people don't know, if the zone chairs don't know what the district goals are, it's pretty hard for them to talk to clubs about what kinds of things they should be focusing on in the year. So
Yeah, that's an excellent answer. Anybody else?
As well, I think not only just the clubs, but with insights you see how everything's kind of connected. So your goals kind of lead into every level up. So I think they should be communicated properly that way so that the people who use your goals to base their goals off of at a higher level get the best results possible.
Excellent. District Governor Catherine.
Hi, I'm kind of in a noisy environment, but I just wanted to say that for this year, for my goals, I identified a particular leader for each one of them. Of course, GLT, GMT, and GST and LCIF. That was, pretty well understood. But we also added a communications goal and a fellowship goal. And I added 2 people for those. And so when we've been having all year, when we've been having our district leadership meetings once a month, we have, it's not just district leader, but it's also goal team. And so we've been talking about our goal team throughout the whole thing. And we've had a club challenge that we've done all year that gives people points for their clubs for, adding members. And we have a whole lot of things on there. And they all relate to the district goals. And in June, we will identify 2 clubs that have raised the highest number of points. And those guys get to choose whether they're going to have us come out and do a barbecue for them or do a service project for them. And all of the Lions in the entire district are going to have a chance to have their name pulled out. And whoever gets their name pulled out, that club has a chance to, will pay the registration for that person to go to USA Canada Forum. So it's our goal. It's really worked out really well. We've got a lot of clubs that are really anxious to get us to come out there and do a barbecue for them. And so that's been really exciting. And the big part of it was we built all of these things around making sure that clubs had a good shot at getting the Club Excellence Awards. And I've had some of the zone chairs and some of the presidents sending me information. Well, we're pretty close to 100%. We want to make sure we get this and that. And so even though we've had clubs that have been achieved these kind of things in the past, I think we've made it more obvious to people as to what these steps are, what they mean, what some of the rewards and honors are. And we're excited in our district, and we're primarily focusing on rebuilding and revitalizing all of our clubs. So that's
excellent.
all. Yeah.
Excellent. Is there anybody else? Okay, let's go on to the next question. Who needs to know about our action plans? So you know what the district goals are, and now there's an action plan. So who would actually need to know, you think, on what the action plan is for, let's say, membership?
The district governor.
That would be a good one.
Yeah, always let that person know what's going on.
That would be an excellent idea. Lynn, do you have any guesses?
I think it's really important that the clubs, when you do your visits, are informed with what your dreams and goals for their growth of their membership, and also your zone chairs.
Okay, sounds good. Anybody else? Okay, who needs to be informed about progress? So you've set a goal out there, you have a district goal, and you have an action plan how to get to that. Who needs to know about the progress of that goal? Any?
I think the whole
Plot?
thing from the bottom up, don't they?
Yeah, everybody needs to know. Everybody that's involved in that particular goal needs to know what's going on and where we're at. Because like I said, there's nothing worse than not knowing what's going on and having to ask, what's happening with this? What are we going to be doing, to achieve this? Or what's the next step that we're going on? When is this meeting going to be held? Blah, blah, blah. Who actively support us? And all of the people that here, who all needs to do the support of the district goals and the action plans?
I believe that's where your cabinet comes in. I mean, they are your support system. Truly, they have to be the ones that are help us get to our goals.
Yeah, it would be everybody that's on here, right? Because they're all
Correct.
there to support the PDGs, the PIDs, the PIPs, and the IDs, and even the Global Action Team. They're all there to do the support for a district and what they're doing and what the club is doing even to achieve that goal. And it's our job just to make sure that those who need to be informed are informed. It's just really important that everybody knows. So for club engagement, how can we inform, inspire, and excite, maintain interest, and recognize great work? What do you think we need to do to be able to go and make sure that this information is passed on to the people who are involved? So how do you think we can do that by informing? So let's look at that first step for informing. What media do you think we can use to be able to inform?
You can use Facebook and Twitter and Instagram.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's excellent. And any other ideas on what we could do for informing? There's an old-fashioned one. It's called a telephone. You know, it's an older method, but you know, it does work when people are, you know, they appreciate getting the phone call sometimes. It depends on how many people you have to inform. You may not want to do that with 20 people, but it is one way that you can do that.
I know in
What's that, Lynn?
I know in my case, in planning for spring rally, I use the old fashioned method, the telephone. Personal contact when you talk to clubs means a lot as far as their engagement in something as simple as spring rally. When you talk to them, they feel committed that they need to attend and be there. So I think so many times a friendly voice is better than a text or an email myself.
And how about going further back to, you can telephone and then follow it up with a letter.
Sure.
Personalize it or send your letter out and then do that contact with your telephone. Makes them feel so special.
Yep. Perfect.
That's great. How about inspiring people? Any ideas on how you go about inspiring individuals on the work they've done?
I think with one of the things that Geraldine just talked about, a note, a thank you note, or a good job note of some kind. It's something they can see, and you know, they don't just throw it away. It gets set on the counter and they see it many times in the next week or so, and they feel valued, I believe, when they get some kind of a thank you note or a good job note through the mail.
Yeah, that's always a good way to inspire people, is recognition, recognizing them for the work that they've done or for a goal that they have achieved. I know that one of the district goals that we had up here in northern Saskatchewan, we actually achieved one of them. I was so excited. I was like, hey, we achieved one. So, and it's important just to make sure that, you know, we do some sort of celebration, or that, you know, that we tell people what a good job they've done so we can inspire them. And then the next one is excite. What are things that we can do to excite people?
I'm going to throw in another suggestion. And
Sure.
how about a photo and a short article in your newsletter?
Yes.
That's always a good one. That's always a good one to have. The other thing is, I think it's Geraldine was the one that one time when we were going through one of our vice district governor sessions, where she used the example of somebody who inspired and someone who didn't. And the one who did not inspire was in a low monotone voice, while the other one had excitement in their voice and were really enthusiastic and upbeat. And so that also helps with the getting people excited. Maintain interest throughout the year. Any suggestions on how to maintain interest?
Check in repeatedly and keep it visible what you're trying to achieve.
Yeah, no, that's good. I mean, you want to maintain interest on that, and that's one way to do it. And the last one, recognize good work. That one is always important. People always like to get recognition for the work that they have done, and that we recognize the club leaders that have gone and achieved. And it doesn't have to be anything spectacular. It can just be a simple, you're doing a great job. And it looks like my dog wants attention here. On to the next slide. So club officer, this is just a sample format here on when you will go to do a report. These are the things that you could, this is a format that you could have. So you could take a look at a summary report where you're looking at the goals that have been established as to how many new clubs you've had, how many new members, how many drop members. Matt said he would go in and show you the insight and how to get there. And we can see that, you know, you'll be able to easily pick up how many new clubs and how many new members there are. It doesn't show on Insight drop members. You have to go into my LCI to see that one. Accomplishments thus far. So an example of accomplishment could be we achieved our goal for the number of zone chairs that we've trained. We have achieved our goal for the number of service projects that we said that we were going to have people report on. Plans for what's next, providing you know, what it is that we're going to be doing next. We're going to be going and contacting the clubs maybe that haven't reported service. Maybe there's club officers out there, you know, we're going to find out what it is that you know, why they haven't gone on to the Learn program to do some of the training that's available there. Ideas on how clubs can help. So what we can do is take a look at what it is that we can focus on. And maybe there's an area that we hadn't even thought of. And so maybe you can put an example, or you can put a comment there about something that, you know, you come up against and that you think that we should be putting some focus on or some help. We've discovered that some of the clubs out there are having communication problems. And so they can't get on to do their reporting. They can't get on to report their membership. They can't get on to do Learn because they can't get on to the member portal to do that. And so if that's something that we have to help clubs with, then that is something that we need to bring up for as an update. And then the last one, have your own idea and contact would be somebody, you know, go contact Joe or Bill or whoever. But there are a number of things that you can do it, and you can go and structure this any way that you think will get the point across and get people the information they need. You don't have to have long, flowery, what's the word I'm looking for, stories on what's going on. Sometimes if you just are to the point and brief, it'll get the same point across. Next page. So here's another example of an agenda where we're taking a look at the communication plan. So the communication plan is who you're going to talk to and how you're going to talk to them and when you're going to talk to them. So if you look here on this communication plan across the top, they have who, what, how, who's responsible, and some notes that may be necessary. So if we take a look at zone chairs, what we want to look at is the goals, the plans, the progress, things that you may need help on. How we're going to do it, we may be doing it by a monthly email. Maybe you're going to have a monthly Zoom meeting. And who's responsible for it? In this particular case, it's the district governor, but it could be it's the vice district governor. And then the notes that they put here is that it's similar to club officer messages with tailored help request. So this communication plan is fairly brief, and it says who we're going to get help from, how we're going to do it, and what it is that we need. So let's see, last one for me, number 20. There we go. Sharing services and sharing success. One of the best things that I find for sharing success is if you go on the website to some of the websites that are out there, or if you go and look at the newsletters that are out there, that they will have some sharing success. Even the Lions magazine that we get has got success stories in there. So what we're looking for when we're sharing this success, we're looking for quotes, we're looking for public leaders, if we have any quotes or any articles in the newspapers. We're looking for pictures, we're looking for videos. If you have pictures, or you have something where the Lions are in action, they're out there cleaning up the ditches, not something I'd want to do today, but if you had pictures of people doing that, you know, that's always a great action. You can share through district newsletters, anything on the social media, depending on what social media that you have and how you're sharing. And you can document how-to informations. I find that sometimes when I'm going to do things, I'm going, well, this has got to have been done before. How the heck did they do this? And it's always nice to have something that you can go back to, refer to see how it was done and get an idea of what the results are. So if we take a look at it, sharing success, I think it's just really important. For the individuals that are out there today, is there anybody else who has any other ideas besides what I have here on the screen that's up right now?
I think part of the issue that we have is the Lions are still the best kept secret in the world. And we talk about sharing success, and everything that's on the screen here is great internally. But if we look at service reporting, and we have a service report filed, that same club, if you're reviewing those reports, should be told, send that to the local newspaper. Send that to, in our case, Prince Albert Today, or Now. It's called Prince Albert Now, isn't it, Gail?
PA Now.
PA Now, which is an online news service. Keep sending them the stuff. Even if they don't use it, send it anyways. Because one day they're going to be short and they're going to need stuff. And they're going to grab a Lion story and they're going to put it up there, even if it's just simple as they clean the ditch on Highway 11/2 heading into the south end of the city. The Lions did that, and that really is a concern. We had one of our members report at our meeting on Monday that she had spoken to some people about becoming members, and they wanted to know what religion we were affiliated with. And that was scary, because even the pastor didn't know about Lions and couldn't refer them to anyone either. So it's very, very scary. We need to break the cycle of being the best kept secret.
And Crystal had an excellent example about handing out flyers. And I think that's also a good way of being able to show and share a success that we have. Matt, do you have anything else?
Nope.
I have a great idea for global sharing. I think we need to do a multi-district the same day, all across the multi-district, an event. And if it's as simple as ditch digging or ditch cleaning or whatever, it's that, but it happens the same day through the whole multi-district, and it makes news in every community that we can get it to, but it's the same day and it's the whole multi-district that does it. And I brought that up to my GST district team, and I just think it's something that really needs to happen for awareness of who we are. And it can be the simple of projects. If it's, we're the land of 10,000 lakes, if it's, cleaning up our lakes across, and we each name the lake we're at, for all the districts, and it's cleaning up the lakes or the beaches in the spring or the winter or whatever, you know? I just think it needs to be multi-district to send the message out there. It's noticed then, and then all the media will probably feed upon it, you know? Just
I
a
think-
thought.
I think also that's a wonderful idea. But how about having fun with it? Maybe clubs wear costumes, and you pick out the best, and there's a competition, which club has the best costume? Or how about the strangest articles thing found? You can do something like that, or how much garbage did you pick up? Let's weigh it. So I think that to get your whole your whole district into it, I think that you can have a lot of fun with it.
Well, I don't think just my district. I think every district should do it the
Yes.
same day. So, and I like the idea of something, because we, as Lions, don't we want all walks of life? We want professional people. We want all walks of life, you know, from professional to the person that works at the community center, to the school, to the firemen. We want everybody to join Lions. So to get people fired up, you know, let's make it something that doesn't make anyone feel awkward. And I think the costume idea is great, but I think then you put a sense of awkwardness into some people. You're forcing a personality type that maybe isn't everyone. You know, something that everybody can do, but the idea of counting and, you know, how many pounds did you collect? How many pounds did you? So we have a reporting in, and then we get media to cover it continually, how much weighed in at each of these places. We find areas that will weigh it, so we can do media at the location where we have it weighed. There's just so many things we could do with something as simple as ditch cleaning.
Excellent. Crystal, I believe you had something?
Yes, I did. This is a good thing that came out of COVID. We came up with a plan for Father's Day by handing out Dad's root beer. And at that particular time, we had outdoor picnics where people still had to be, separated by 6 feet or whatever. But it was a way to bring some joy at a time that was not joyful. And even when we started doing this, we had 15 clubs that participated with handing out Dad's root beer to all the dads on Father's Day. And each year it's grown. We've got 51 clubs in 5NE. And I believe right now we're at least up to 30 that in some way, shape, or form, the Lions sponsor handing out the Dad's root beer. They either leave it at a restaurant with identification it's a gift from the Lions of that particular town, or the Lions themselves are invited to be at the restaurant handing out Dad's root beer saying Happy Father's Day. There's outside events at small towns like Tuttle, where a person that's got the burgers and everything hands out for Father's Day, the Dad's root beer. So it's some of the stores, when we're buying all this root beer, they're out, but it's been growing and growing since COVID. So it's a very positive thing that's come out of that. It's generated activities, and Lions are being seen as doing something fun.
Sounds great. Let's see, District Governor Catherine. Did you have anything you wanted to mention? Oh, you're muted.
Okay, it wouldn't unmute for me with this press bar. Oh, I just went ahead and wrote ideas in the chat, but just real quick, I was just going to say that I think it's a great idea. And in the chat, I talk a little bit more about for 5 and 10, we are encouraging all of our clubs to have celebrations throughout the month of the 2023 highlights of their club year. And we're sharing all those things. And then at one point, we're going to do a live stream where we're going to do drawings and things for the district as a whole, and people can pipe in. We're not really going to have it all, lined out. But this is the first year we've ever done it. Well, we did something like this during our very first time in COVID, but that was because of COVID, and this is supposed to be more of an open thing and try to encourage every year to do something of this nature. And I think the idea of doing this collective deal at a larger sense, like what Kathy suggested, is a great deal. And I think, and even like she said, the idea of, like picking up trash and weighing it, people can get all over that. And, I can just see like we could show that our like whole district was, we're really cleaning up the mess, or picking it up, our style or something like that. I mean, we could do something really clever and cool with it, get in communities and invite other folks to participate with you, because that's what we're really emphasizing. And they keep talking about it in terms of membership. Don't hand out brochures. Don't even say anything like that. Just bring people in and let them see how much fun they're having and what good things we do. And then they're going to want to be a part of it. Several of my clubs have been doing this, and one club had such a great event. They added 10 new members. Just blown away by this. And I'm talking a small little town, I'm telling you. Okay.
Excellent. Matt, you're next.
All right. Well, thanks, Lang Gail, and thanks everybody for the excellent ideas of ways that we can share our success. So in the final section of the workshop, we'll be working through how our working group can track results and use that information and reports that are available from Lions International, and maybe even some other sources to help us understand how we're tracking as far as success goes. You'll have the opportunity to remind and reassure everybody that the global membership approach is a team effort. So now let's review a few of the steps and ask any questions that you might have as far as tracking some success. So one of the tests of leadership is the ability to recognize a problem before it becomes an emergency. So does anybody have any thoughts on how we can apply this to the global membership approach?
I've got an idea.
All right, Sue.
It's probably more in retention, but I think you have to be really careful about watching your members, making sure they don't fall behind in dues, because as soon as they fall so far behind in dues that they can't catch up, they're going to quit because they don't have any other choices. I think that was one of the first things I learned when I was on a membership committee.
Right. Going along those same lines, right? If we start to see some clubs in a particular zone, for example, where they're having a historic number of drops early in the year, that might be an indicator, right? That we need to change our action plans and go focus on retention activities in that area. And maybe we're focused on getting new clubs. Great example. So there are several membership reports that can be used to track our process. What I'm going to walk through here really quick in the slide show here is how to use the insights and the district goals process here. So upon logging into the member portal, if you navigate to Insights, and in the upper right-hand corner, you'll find the newest platform, which is called the District Goals Process Dashboard. When you click on that, you'll see a dashboard that shows up that looks like the screen does here. And on here, you can track all of those different district goals that are laid out, as well as how they're doing towards those goals. So you'll be able to see what the goal was and where you are in achieving that goal. Once your district team have submitted the district goals, you'll be able to filter down to your district, as you see in the lower left-hand corner here. And then you can review those goals for new clubs, for new members, through dropped members and net gain. You can also see in one of the sections that's not displayed here, LCIF and some of the other goals that your district governor-elect is asked to submit this time of the year every year. So are there other reports that you guys are aware of besides using Insights that might be something to keep an eye on?
You know, Matt, I don't really want to be a naysayer here, but I'm going to tell you that I understand the analysis. I've done this sort of thing forever. And let me tell you that the true stories are not in those numbers. Right now, if you look at our numbers for our district, so far we've achieved nothing. That's very distressing for me because it doesn't tell our story in any way and the hard work and the new innovations that we brought into our district. Now, it's probably going to be 2 or 3 years before those kind of indicators are going to become around, because a lot of the things that we had that are challenging now, I was going through all the papers from the last 3 district governors that I had on my desk over the last couple of weekends, because I had the opportunity to serve as a district secretary. And so I've got all that stuff. And when I look at it in a concentrated way, the people that we were having problems with right now, we were having problems with in 2019. And then we had COVID for 2 years, and now trying to get back on a recovery plan and a number of other things that have happened. So I'm just putting that out here. And I don't know that other districts and other clubs are that way, but it takes a long time. And I realize that the numbers, I've been in analysis and evaluation measurement my whole life. And I know that's the way that we count things. But the reality is, it's the anecdotes, the case studies, and the on-site evaluations that really show the struggles and the successes of individual clubs. That's all I wanted to say.
Right.
Thank
So an important thing to kind of keep in mind, I don't disagree with you at all, Catherine. Sometimes we inherit situations that, it takes a long time to turn an aircraft carrier around, right? Takes a lot of open ocean to do that. But if we remember, part of the process that we're going through here with the GMA is really about the GMA process. So hopefully, if we're creating action plans that have good, smart goals and are a little bit more time bound, we might be able to use some of these numbers. I'm not saying that you would, but we're just trying to show you how you have access to finding those numbers, if they support and tell your story or not. We already talked about drop members. So
I was going to say that I was incorrect when I said you couldn't find drop members. It has proved me wrong that it's right there on that slide.
It's all right. It's changed like 2 or 3 times in the last year and a half, because they keep adding to it, right? If I go back here, that district goals process is something that was just added last year. It's relatively new to the insights. So as we talk about tracking our results, for a lot of people that can invoke anxiety, right? Or in the case of what Catherine was talking about, where maybe tracking the results isn't really telling the story of what we know to be true, right? So one of the things that's important to remember, and one of the great things about being a Lion, is that there's always help available to us, and we are not doing this process alone. We have our global action team at the district level, at the multiple district level. You have Gail and myself as area leaders, and we even have constitutional area leaders that we can talk to. You have staff at LCI that's devoted specifically to GAT, who can put us in contact with specific resources that maybe we can't find on our own through a search or didn't know existed. We have past international presidents and directors and past council chairs and district governors who have a wealth of knowledge over the years and can be of a valuable service to us. We may have existing committees, maybe in our district, and maybe even things like the Young Lions Task Force outside of our district, that we can leverage what we're doing to find support for different types of audiences. As we're going through this same process together, as all of our districts are looking forward to doing GMA, and we're starting to do GMA at the club level, we're going to be able to share our concerns and our successes and the problems that we're having, because we're all going through that same situation. So your fellow district governors and fellow leadership chairs and membership chairs, you're going to be able to communicate with each other. We're going to be able to leverage our zone and region chairpersons and guiding lions to help us with training and with the knowledge and the connection with the clubs that they bring. And then finally, it's at the bottom here, but I think it's at the bottom because it's the foundation, right? Yeah. Our club leadership and our Lions members in the club are going to be there with us too, to make that lasting impact of service to their communities, to ensure that we have success for many years to come. If we achieve our goals, and to achieve our goals, we're going to have to do it together, right? Together we can.
I just wanted to add on that slide that the support is there for the various levels at LCI. We had an issue within the MD with one club where they hadn't reported for 4 years. They couldn't sign on. We had to go all the way to LCI to get the IT department to correct the problem for them so that they could go in and report their service, report their membership. So it does work.
Right.
Back to
And
you,
then
Matt.
finally, to conclude our the session that you would be doing with your district, you want to share some reminders about the next steps that you're going to be doing. What type of actions are going to be next? You're going to write those initial communications and start sharing those. You're going to begin your monthly meetings. And then an important thing to do is to really maintain that consistency throughout. The more consistent you are, the more people start to become affiliated and understanding of the process. And just like anything, right? Practice, 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 consistency, consistency, consistency. You get better at the process over time. So I just want to thank everybody for their participation tonight, for their great ideas, through their sharing of both positive things and struggles that they've had at the district level. Just a reminder that if you are a district governor elect or a former first vice district governor, I guess you now should all be governor elects, I think by now, that the GMA sessions are part of your training that's expected of you, and we should be reporting those things in the Lion Learn Center. Your district GLT and your multiple district GLT will be able to help you with that. So if you don't know if you've been have had those reported or not, go ahead and reach out to Gail and I, and we can help you with that. For those of you who maybe have a multiple district GLT that's on one side of the border or another, there is a slight issue with they can only report for the side of the border that they live on. So if we run into that situation, we do have some help from LCI to do that reporting. And just thank you again, everybody, for your participation. Hopefully you learned a lot more over these 4 sessions about what GMA is and got some great ideas on how you can put forth GMA into your districts and start to trickle it down to your club level. Anything else you'd like to say, Gail, before we call it a night?
Past District Governor Anna wanted to be here tonight, but she is, I think, escorting some individuals from point A to point B. She really did want to be here, but she couldn't get out of it because she couldn't find anybody to take her place on it. So we both Matt and myself and her really like to thank everybody for being here. I'm hoping that everybody here knows how to get into Insights and take a look at it. If you don't, Matt can do a real fast show you how to get there and how to take a look at what's on the screen. For your particular district, you can go and look and see how many district goals that you achieved. I believe there's 8 there, Matt, isn't there? 8, I think.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, about right. And so when you achieve one of those goals, it just feels great.